As a guest in Australia, I remember walking by this tiny little. In 19 years, Terri Irwin hasn't been with anyone, but on October 12, 2025, she broke down in tears while watching her son Robert on live TV. He hadn't planned to do what he did on stage. It was a message. A note about the day his dad died. The lie Terri told about how he was born. She didn't say anything to the family member who said she destroyed everything Steve built for almost 20 years. But what happened behind the scenes that night made it clear why she can't get over him. Wendy Penelope Rains was born on July 20, 1964, in Eugene, Oregon. The roads were noisy with long-haul trucks, and the trees moaned in the Cascade wind. Clarence Rains, her dad, wasn't like any other truck driver. He did something strange all the time. Other cars would speed past dead animals on the road without even looking, but Clarence would stop. Animals that were hurt, like raccoons, rabbits, foxes, and even small bears, sometimes ended up in the cab of his 18-wheeler. He saved more than 200 wild animals from American roads between 1965 and 1975, even though it was dirty, smelly, and a mess. His wife Judy didn't like this habit, especially after neighbors told him that wild animals were living in their garage. That changed the day Terri, who was only 5 years old, held a shaking baby by the bottle in their kitchen like she had done it 1,000 times. It was clear to Clarence. Judy saw it. That day, Terri did something that made sense. Their house in Eugene became a wildlife hospital. With the help of heat lamps in quarantine areas, Clarence turned the garage into a warm, makeshift hospital. Soon, the neighbors weren't just whining, they called the city. Their home was full of life by the time Terri was a teen. They had 15 cats, birds with splints on their wings, squirrels that limped around, and at one point, a bear cub that learned how to open the fridge and eat their food between 1978 and 1982. To keep the bear out, her mom had to put special locks on the pantry. In 1981, things got really bad when one of Terri's wildcats scratched a neighbor so badly that she needed 12 stitches. That woke me up. Terri, who was only 17, built professional-grade fences in the backyard. The family spent more than $5,000 making the mess into a safe place. During the night, her bedroom turned into an intensive care unit for cats. Every 2 hours, she fed them from a bottle. She was so tired that she fell asleep several times in class. She dropped out of South Eugene High School in 1982. Terri didn't go to college right away, instead, he went straight to work. He asked her to help run Clarence Rains Trucking when she was 18. She was in charge of paying more than 15 drivers and making sure that freight got delivered all over the country. She did add her own twist, though. She told drivers to bring back any animals that were hurt on the roads. They did it. The trucking business her family ran turned into a secret network of 11 western states that helped people in need. From 1982 to 1986, Terri drove those trucks more than 50,000 miles. In each one, she always kept animal carriers, first aid kits, and names of vets to call. Her father fought it first. It wasn't in the plan to have so many problems with insurance and the law. But he quit fighting it when their small business became well known in the area and got good press. The company was making $400,000 a year by 1985. The best part was that Terri used some of the money he made to pay for something even bigger. Terri saw a cougar cub named Melina who was 3 months old in a small, dirty box in 1986. She was 22 years old at the time. The hair on the cub's forehead was rubbed off as she tried to get away. She had rickets and her joints were swollen. The government said the investigation would last for 6 months. Terri didn't hold out. She spent all of her cash. $300, and they bought the dead animal right then. In Terri's life, Melina was the start of something that would never go back. She made fences outside behind her house and named it Cougar Country. It wasn't just cougars. By 1989, she and her growing staff were taking care of more than 300 wild animals every year, such as bears, bobcats, foxes, and raccoons. She had 100 employees and more than 100 helpers. Terri wasn't getting much sleep because it was hard work. Since 1988, she worked overnight shifts at an emergency veterinary hospital in Eugene, where she treated cats and dogs that had been in car accidents, attacks, or sudden illnesses. Her night job was a mess. She took care of all the emergency surgeries, assessment, blood loss, and broken bones. After that, she'd go home and take care of wild animals that needed the same things, but had bigger teeth and fewer rules. She did more than 500 emergency surgeries at the vet hospital and helped 287 wild animals get better at home in 1989 alone. The Oregon Veterinary Medical Association liked her so much that they gave her a scholarship to go to vet school. She said no. In order to help wildlife, she wanted to stay out in the field. In the same year, she had to deal with one of the scariest times in her work. A rehabilitated cougar called Ridge got away during a storm. Animal, which weighed 140 pounds, got through a weak spot in the fence. He got away for 48 hours. Farmers were scared. The county sent officers with guns who were ready to shoot anyone they saw. Terri kept following Ridge around, talked to the sheriff, and finally cornered him in a barn. He was put to sleep and came back safely. It cost her $12,000 in lawyer fees and vet bills altogether. After that, she spent another $5,000 to add military-grade electric wire and motion monitors to each fence. She didn't want to take that chance again. The changes were paid for in part by the extra money her trucking business made, about $30,000 a year. She had a lot of work to do. She was in charge of Oregon's first GPS-tracked bobcat release in 1987. 3 bobcats with $800 radio tags were set free in the Cascade Mountains. One of them was pregnant. Terri used more than 2,000 GPS points to keep track of them for a whole year. 3 weeks after being set free, the female had 4 kits in the wild. It showed something that no one thought was possible: predators that were raised with people could live and even do well in the wild. The state wildlife department used her methods all over the state. Not every rescue went well. In 1990, Terri found a black bear on a neighbor's land that was caught in a steel trap. It had been stuck for 3 days. There were a lot of yellow jacket wasps at the spot. She grabbed a crowbar and some homemade safety gear and got to work. The bear was freed after 23 bee stings. The bear passed out from being so tired right after getting away. He was named Honey. It cost $2,800 to treat them. Honey got better and was let go after 6 months. That one rescue helped lawmakers in Oregon decide to raise the fines for illegal traps from $500 to $5,000. In the same year, Terri started a scheme to bring back raccoons that had been killed by logging. She used thermal cameras and tracking gear worth $8,000 to find abandoned kits, take them in, and raise them by hand. She let them go after months of planning. Her raccoons had a 78% chance of living. It was only 45 across the whole state. In that area, the number of raccoons rose by 15% in just 1 year. The scientists were shocked. She won an award from the National Wildlife Rehabilitation Association, and other states started to look into how she did things. She also started to teach. Terri took the animals she had saved to Eugene schools, libraries, and community events from 1989 to 1991. She had owls with broken wings in her hands. She taught the kids how a fox got back on its feet. People could see, touch, and feel what she was talking about when she talked about protection. A lot of people came to her shows. Her message got through. Terri Raines was 27 years old and on a trip to Queensland on October 1, 1991. This trip would change her life forever. The Queensland Reptile and Fauna Park was empty just 2 days before she walked in. Steve Irwin had taken over from his parents. The only other people there that day were 12 guests. But Terri didn't just see a crocodile show. She saw Steve, who was wearing no shoes and had a bandage on a bite from a poisonous snake 3 days before, walk into a pen with Delilah, a huge 10-foot saltwater crocodile. She was more than 350 pounds. Steve fought the giant with his bare hands, and as he did, his shirt tore, showing scars from past dangerous fights. Terri said it was like watching Tarzan in the wild. She felt like something clicked inside her. She had never seen someone put themselves in such danger for the animals, not for attention or fun. They went on their first date that same night, October 2nd. It wasn't dinner. It wasn't safe. Steve asked her to help him get a crocodile out of a pond in the suburbs. At 11:47 p.m., they were hunched over with a rope in their hands, close to the dark water. Terri got hit in the leg by a tail, which left a deep purple mark. It was only 6 inches from her face when the crocodile's teeth closed. She didn't scream. She laughed. In 1989, long before cameras were following him, Steve knew at that moment that he had already become famous among outback heroes. His job was to find a ghost, and he had been there by himself for 6 months. The 16-foot saltwater crocodile that killed 3 cattle and hurt 2 sailors was known as the Black Ghost by the people who lived there. Steve hung out under the stars with only his dog Sway for company. He ate canned beans and planned a crocodile trap that had never been used before. He hung 200-pound weight bags from trees and linked them to traps with springs that could hold a 2,000-pound animal. It took him 47 tries and 2 very close calls that almost killed him before he got it. Not only did that snake make him famous, it made him a myth. A month after they met for the first time on November 1, 1991, Steve flew to Oregon without telling anyone and brought a saved gopher snake with him. It was 6 a.m., and Terri was feeding the raccoon kids when he showed up. Later, while hiking up Spencer Butte, he got down on one knee and told Terri, "You're more dangerous than any crocodile I've ever wrestled. That makes me think we're meant to be together forever." "Yes," she said. As a wedding gift, he let the snake go back into the wild. They told her family over breakfast the next morning. Steve wasn't even dressed yet. His boots were still dirty. Soon after, Terri went through the worst pain of her life. Melina, a 6-year-old cougar, had been raised by her for 4 years. She had survived a car accident with broken ribs and a broken mouth. She was too weak to live in the wild. She was family. But when Terri tried to bring her to Australia, Customs said he couldn't. She used $12,000 to fight in court and get ready for quarantine. It didn't matter. They didn't give her permission. In March 1992, held Melina close and whispered goodbye as the vet gave her the shot that would kill her. There were no cameras or people there. There was only sadness and quiet. At that moment, she swore that Melina's death would never have been pointless. They got married in Eugene, Oregon, on June 4, 1992. There were 100 guests, but there was no vacation and no time to rest. They took a plane straight to North Queensland to film wild crocodiles being caught. Terri had never been on a muddy stream or been in crocodile country before. She helped to catch a 7-foot estuary crocodile while the cameras were rolling. The video wasn't very good. It was rough, unfinished, and scary. It did work, though. After many years, that same video would be the start of everything. The tape was not played again until 1996. After that, director John Stanton turned it into the first episode of The Crocodile Hunter. It was shown on the Discovery Channel as a 2-hour special on October 25, 1996. People had never seen anything like it before. Terri fed a snapping turtle, and it bit her finger in front of the camera. Steve kept making movies. Red-bellied snakes and kangaroos were what they were after in the desert. It wasn't planned. It wasn't a fake. 2 people who loved what they did were living on the edge. By 1997, there were all of them. They made 64 shows and 13 specials between 1997 and 2004. It was taken up by more than 100 countries. Terri did more than just co-host. Taipans are poisonous snakes that could kill 100 men with just one bite. In 1998, a taipan's teeth hurt her glove. She kept her cool. The show kept going. Terri wrote the stories, but she didn't think nature should be buffed up. In 1999, she demanded that they show a python slowly digesting a possum that had been half-eaten. People were shocked. A lot of people complained, but the numbers went up by 25%. Terri thought everyone should know the truth, even if it was unpleasant. In the same year, she helped make an overseas deal worth $2 million. In 2000, she also grew Australia Zoo from 16 acres with 550 animals to 80 acres with over $1,000 by 2007. She was in charge of budgets, planned dangerous shoots, and made sure her team stayed safe. Like in Indonesia, when their gear broke down during a Komodo dragon shoot and left them stuck overnight with huge monitors going around and around their tents. In November 2003, they got a call for help while shooting sea lions in Baja, California. 2 divers were not there. Steve stopped working on the project to help with the search. After 2 days, he helped save one of the people, Scott Jones. Katie Vrooman, the other one, did not make it. Steve quietly dragged that weight around. But not nearly as bad as what happened on September 4, 2006. Steve got close to a 6-foot stingray while they were shooting Ocean's Deadliest. It turned into a defense. Its 8-inch barb went through his chest and into his heart and lungs. Justin Lyons, the cameraman, saw blood, but he didn't know Steve was dead. They rushed him to the water. For more than an hour, they did CPR. It did not work. He was 44 years old. They were in more danger than just that. Terri flipped a Jeep in crocodile-filled water in 2002 while shooting the Crocodile Hunter collision course. Charlie, a 12-foot crocodile, was close. Nearly dropped out of the insurance. But Terri swam out of the water without getting hurt and kept going. Terri had a miscarriage in the outback in 1994, while she was shooting snake rescues. A hospital was 200 miles away. She cried all night in a tent full of poisonous snakes. The next morning, she helped Steve catch some brown snakes and a tape pan. She didn't tell the crew. In 2004, Terri's team was trying to make a movie about tiger protection in Sumatra when they accidentally caught a gunfight between rangers and poachers. There was a dead tiger in the grass. People in charge cut the scene, but the video got out. When less than 400 Sumatran tigers were left living, it showed how much it costs to protect a species. Terri created a $10 million reptile park in 2005. A death adder got out during safety tests. It bit Mark Peterson, the owner. He stopped being able to move, almost died, and needed help to stay alive. Every mistake was fixed for an extra $2 million by Terri. It wasn't in the news. But 1999 was the scariest year. A 3-ton hippus attacked their Land Rover while they were on a tour in Africa. The glass was broken by its tusks. Terri got hit in the face with broken glass. The woman passed out. Steve had to drive 300 miles through dangerous areas while she was bleeding next to him. She made it. The video was never shown. In September 2006, just after 11 a.m., the ocean changed everything. While working on another episode of Ocean's Deadliest near Bat Reef, Steve Irwin was hit by a stingray with great force. The barb was 8 inches long and dug a hole in his chest that was more than 2 inches wide. It went right through to his heart. Terri was home with their kids 1,500 miles away at that very moment. Bindi was 8 years old. Robert was only 2 years old. She had shaking hands when the call came at 2:15 p.m. Someone named Justin Lyons told her something that no one wants to hear. She didn't think twice. Within minutes, she had spent $15,000 to book a private jet to get to him. She was at the morgue by 6 p.m. She was broken in more ways than one. She had to see it. The last shock came afterward. Steve didn't say those last words to her or the kids. He said, "I'm dying." He then told them to turn off the camera while his hands were shaking. The video, which could have been worth millions of dollars, was gone in 24 hours. Terri made sure of that, but she also had to watch out for other things. After only 1 year, the empire they made started to fall apart from the inside. In 2007, Bob Irwin, Steve's dad, quit his job at Australia Zoo after a very bad fight with Terri. It wasn't just sadness. It had to do with seeing. Bob said she was turning the 1,000-acre zoo into a business playground with high-end safari lodges, $8 million star appearances, a $12 million crocodile adventure, and $5 million merchandise deals. Bob thought this was no longer Steve's dream. He took a $2.3 million deal on March 15, 2007, and left to start his own 72-acre sanctuary in Kingaroy. It hurt like hell when he spoke those words. He told her she was ruining Steve's name. When he wasn't allowed to see his grandkids without being watched, the pain got worse. 23 good workers left with him. That year, Australia Zoo lost more than just family. Lawyer fees, bad news, and lost trust cost them $15 million. The world saw Steve's daughter stand alone in front of 10,000 people 2 weeks after he died. Even though Bindi was only a child, what she said meant a lot to people for a long time. She said something that no one expected in her speech. 3 hours before he died, Steve called his family. Crocodiles were brought up. He said the day would be big. There was not a word about stingrays. Later, Terri made the controversial choice to show 47 episodes of Crocodile Hunter that had not been shown before. Some people said she was making money off of Steve's death, but the numbers showed that wasn't true. The rights were bought for $8.5 million by Animal Planet. Around the world deals brought in an extra $18 million. Quickly, people fought back. The zoo got 15,000 emails. Activist groups said they would boycott, but the findings were clear. That year, people gave $5.2 million to wildlife warriors. The episodes brought in $23 million, which paid for the exact crocodile study Steve had planned to do before he died in the ocean. Terri didn't slow down after Steve died. In fact, she grew bigger. She made a deal with the Queensland government in 2007 that gave her power over about 100 acres of zoo land and an extra 80,000 acres for conservation. The crown jewel opened in 2008 as a $5 million wildlife center. Every year, it helped 7,500 animals. In 2019 and 2020, Australia was hit by wildfires, and the hospital took care of its 90,000th patient. She also started Crikey. 2018 is the year of the Irwins. For 4 seasons, she and the kids ran the zoo and went on trips across countries. In one episode, Terri was even in South Africa trying to free a leopard that had been captured by poachers. It was said that there was danger and harm on the set, but those reports were never true. Even though everything around her changed, her goal to carry on Steve's work stayed the same. She fought for something even bigger that same year. There are 330,000 acres in the Steve Irwin Wildlife Reserve, which began in Cape York. Wild and lush, it had not been tamed. The threat came next. Bauxite was what the mining companies wanted from the land. They made plans just a few days after the area was dedicated. Terri fought in court for 6 years to protect it. It cost a lot of money, but she won. The land was locked down forever when Parliament passed a law. It is now home to 35 habitats and 282 species. In that area, the lives of more than 170 crocodiles are tracked by a dream Steve wrote down in his notebook. But not every fight was about the environment. A debt service sued Australia Zoo for $2.5 million in 2008. Someone was after Terri individually for $600,000. After that, in 2016, Zeus Sky Media sued her for breaking a contract to run a brand. They said she broke the terms of her contracts when she took time off to care for her family. The company said she was stopping them from making money off of Steve's picture. Court papers flew. Conservation wasn't always enough to pay the bills, and some people thought she was taking on too much. She stayed single through it all. Terri hasn't been in a relationship since Steve died 19 years ago. She finally told him why on Mother's Day in 2025. She said that being a single mom gave her strength and a reason to live. Her tears were stronger than any words she could have used. Before Robert danced to You'll Be in My Heart on live TV in October, he told the crowd that his dad was always with him, even when he missed him. That was enough. It was caught on camera that she was crying in her place while the music played. The pain didn't start after Steve died. It began in a quiet way when Robert was born in 2003. Terri told something she had been keeping secret for years on the 2024 episode of Steve and Me. She had terrible sadness after giving birth. She had to save baby Robert from a snapping turtle that got too close one time when she was swimming with Steve at the zoo. It was only a few feet away. She said that moment almost broke her. She said it was the worst time of her life. She could not forget that day even after Steve was gone. It changed her. She held on to her kids like their lives depended on it. Robert told her she was tough and called her his little best friend.
It wasn't just a dog. She was family. It was never money that was the prize.
Steve only left $200,000 in insurance when he died. All of Terri had to be put back together. She sold $20 million worth of properties in 2011 to pay for the zoo and studies. In 2025, she is thought to be worth around $20 to $40 million.
But here's what not many people know.
She puts almost 80% of the money back into protection.
She doesn't have any boats.
Her job is to build hospitals and groups of drones. She also wants to write a book about love, about Steve, in 2026.
It won't be about fame or loss.
In one letter to his parents, he said, "It took me over 30 years to realize you were my best friends."
These letters will be in the book.
Every page will end with a goodbye.
It will give every dollar to elephants.